Hello, my name is Rachel, and on behalf of Coloring Book Cafe, welcome to our brand new Spring Coloring Workshop. It's great to see you, and we really appreciate you joining us. In this workshop, we'll be walking through 3 sessions together. First, we'll be exploring the extraordinary health and healing benefits of adult coloring. Then, we'll walk through some very common challenges that you might be experiencing on your coloring journey, and I'll be recommending some solutions. Whether you're new to coloring or have been doing it for a while now, there's probably a variety of reasons that you were drawn to it in the first place and have stuck with it over time. Maybe you're trying to scratch a creative itch or add some art into your life. But did you know that there are numerous health and happiness benefits as well? Let's start with the big one. Coloring can be an excellent activity to reduce stress and anxiety in your life. Research has found that coloring calms the amygdala, the part of the brain related to fear and stress, while simultaneously stimulating your creativity centers. Coloring allows people to relax, focus, and launch themselves into a world of flowers, mandalas, and animals in any color you can imagine. Dr. Stan Rodsky, a neuropsychologist with his own line of coloring books, says that coloring elicits a relaxing mindset, similar to what you would achieve through meditation. A relaxing mindset, doesn't that remind you of how you feel while you're coloring? Coloring provides relief to a brain taxed by too many daily choices. For example, you go to perform a seemingly simple task like buying Greek yogurt in the grocery store, and you find yourself stressed out by way too many options. What brand? What fat percentage? What flavor? Whoa, head hurts. This is what psychologists call decision fatigue, according to a 2019 study published in Health Psychology. Many therapists utilize coloring as a tool in therapy sessions as well, helping one focus their thoughts and explore their feelings from a place of calm and peace. It's thought that through immersing yourself in an activity like coloring, you can tune out feelings of anxiety and stress in exactly the same way as meditation, achieving a better quality of relaxation. Adult coloring books are great for mindful activity, meaning they help you focus in the moment mindfully, says Cara Maximow, a therapist in private practice. Another amazing benefit of coloring is how accessible it is. No matter your skill level or your budget, adult coloring has a very low barrier to entry and a welcoming community that will help you build your confidence. You can easily fit some coloring pages and a zippered pouch full of colored pencils into your bag and take it with you wherever you go, like a hospital to take your mind off of a treatment you're experiencing, or an airplane to reduce the anxiety of flying. It really can be that simple. There are no fancy must-have tools to get you started. Plus, trust me, no one is too old to color, and there's no one right way of doing it. And when something is easy to get into, you can build up your confidence over time and maybe expand into additional mediums. You'll find the way that works for you and a style that you'll cultivate, and it will be all your own. Speaking of portable, we're at a point in our society where our brain is constantly being bombarded by overstimulating screens. From phones, tablets, TVs, computer screens, social media, it's especially important now to intentionally dedicate time to unplug and do an activity to bring out a deeper connection with your inner child and your inner artist. It's far too easy to get sucked into the chaotic world of technology, glued to our screens. Coloring forces us to drop technology and focus intently on the task at hand in a way that few other activities allow you to do. Serena Poon, a nutritionist and master Reiki healer, recommends coloring as a brilliant way to lower stress and promote well-being. She says that taking up the practice of coloring in an adult coloring book is just one way to add stress relief and focus on your day-to-day. You've probably heard the word mindfulness. Now, at its core, mindfulness is a state where you have the ability to be fully present in a moment, fully aware, not distracted or overwhelmed by what's going on around you or the stress of what may be happening in your life or the world. Something therapeutic happens when you pick up a colored pencil and put it to paper. A calmness washes over you, and thinking clearly suddenly becomes easier. The stress of the day melts away, and you can truly relax and focus on your artwork. With demanding jobs and countless responsibilities, far too many individuals feel overworked and burnt out. Coloring helps you ground yourself, focusing all your attention in the now. Color and energy expert Linda Lauren says, more and more people discovered that coloring in these books was a form of self-therapy and helped them to deal with the anxiety of a highly changing technical world. Dozens of studies have shown that coloring is a brilliant way to help the body heal. By promoting mental and emotional well-being through coloring, your body will actually begin to heal too. Stress and anxiety are massive contributors to illness and inflammation in the body. So if coloring can benefit your mind, it can have an influence over your body as well. According to clinical psychologist Scott M.B., it has everything to do with refocusing our attention. Adult coloring requires modest attention focused outside of self-awareness, Dr. B says. It's a simple activity that takes us outside ourselves in the same way. Cutting the lawn, knitting, or taking a Sunday drive can all be relaxing. Studies have shown that coloring is an effective therapy and can help you deal with feelings of depression and stress. Countless studies show that laughter and positivity can drastically improve your chances of recovery during an illness and the quality of life. Now, coloring is also able to stimulate your brain and help to keep it more active. Now, exercising your brain is essential for maintaining its health, and that's exactly what coloring can do. Now, my favorite and top pick is that coloring is fun. Remember when you were a kid and you used to open up a coloring book and kind of spread it out on the floor or on the table? The smell and the feel of a fresh box of crayons next to you? That is one of my favorite, most enjoyable childhood memories, and I would get lost in those books for hours. With coloring pages available on nearly every subject, there's always material that feels as though it were crafted specially for you. And the materials themselves, the mediums you use, they're completely up to you. Colored pencils, markers, gel pens, the possibilities are endless. Also, coloring can add meaning to life and make you feel like a kid again. No, coloring is not some kind of black magic, but it can bring the most unique of everyday feelings, nostalgia. So how do you do it? Well, select a book whose theme, mandalas, animals, even inspirational quotes, means something to you. And then choose your favorite colors and tools. You don't have to follow any rules here. If you want the sun to be blue and the trees to be metallic orange, go for it. These memories and fun, relaxing feelings can easily be rekindled and revisited. Coloring is not just for the young. It's for the young at heart and for those who find peace and solace while coloring. And what's more, it's a shareable activity with other people in your life, especially little ones who would just love to know that you enjoy coloring with them just as much as they enjoy coloring with you. All right, let's move into some coloring challenges that you may be experiencing. Believe me, we all have them. Now, these are some of the most helpful and practical tips that I can give you. Now, the details in between are really up to you and your personal coloring style and your preferences. No right or wrong answers. Don't get caught up in thinking there's only one way to color. Art is entirely subjective and should be very personal to you. The first challenge is, how do I know what tools and mediums to use? Now, again, this one is a little subjective to what you personally like to use, what you're drawn to. But broadly, I would say to start with your subject matter to guide you a little bit and go from there. So say you're coloring maybe an underwater scene. Maybe it would look interesting to use watercolor on the background. So you start there. Then you move into your paper choice, which to me is probably the most important tip that I can give you. Now, using a paper type that is specifically designed for your medium will actually help you yield the best results. Now, choosing colored pencil paper when using colored pencils will give you by far superior results to using just, say, regular printer paper. Now, colored pencil paper or mixed media is usually a pretty safe choice. It kind of spans, a whole bunch of mediums that you can use. But from there, it's entirely up to you. Now, personally, I like using a few different mediums on my coloring pages. Maybe I combine markers and colored pencils and some gel pens, since it's always fun to add in a little bit of the unexpected, maybe give a little bit of different techniques and effects and different sheens to my artwork. Our next challenge is, what's your favorite coloring hack? Now, a tool that I use all the time are my color test charts, which is basically just a page of color swatches from each of my colored pencil sets. I have each one for all the different sets that I have. This way, I know the exact color that my pencil will produce on the paper, rather than on relying on what just the wrapper of the pencil looks like. They are rarely the same. Now, this provides you with a great sort of at-a-glance visual of all of the colors that you might have at your disposal. Now, I usually keep all of these little charts right next to me while I color, and they're super helpful. Our next challenge is, how do I develop and find color palettes? Often, you can start coloring and all of a sudden you get a bit stuck with where to go next with your color choices. Maybe you backed yourself kind of into a corner. Or perhaps you start very confidently only to find that the colors that you chose didn't quite go together as you thought they would. Now, I know I've been there, I'm sure you have been as well. So to help guide you, a color palette is a small grouping of curated colors that go well together. Now, there might be 5 to 8 in total, even more, and you can see how well they play together when they're lined up all together right next to one another. Now, to find these or find some inspiration for them, you can usually type something as simple as color palette into Google or a search engine, and it will return so many options for you to look through. Now, Pinterest is another great tool for this, as it will actually allow you to save your favorites onto a board that you can revisit whenever you need them. Now, if you want to develop your own color palettes, I suggest trying out a grouping of colors on just a test sheet of paper prior to starting a page. Then, once you've selected your candidates, do another final version and line up those just to get a sense of how they'll all look together. Whittle that down until you're happy with the results. Our next challenge, what do I do if my coloring feels stagnant? Now, this might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but if you're feeling stagnant, it might actually help to put some serious limitations on yourself while you're coloring. Maybe you could challenge yourself to try a very specific technique, maybe one that you've been a little bit intimidated by, or maybe try to turn your coloring into some kind of project, maybe something like a greeting card or a paper craft of some kind. You could even mix up your locale by maybe coloring at a local coffee shop, just to maybe get a little bit of a different vibe or some energy. Or you could even kind of limit your color palette just to see how creative you can truly get when you only have just a few things to work with. Now, it's always helpful to stop doing kind of your typical coloring routine. That's usually what makes you feel stagnant. Get yourself out of those habits. They're making you feel that way. And you never know, you might find something wonderful might happen. And at the very least, you will be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and expanding into new territory. How can I continue to better my coloring skills? I recommend 2 things. 1, seek out inspiration, and 2, seek out information. Now, for inspiration, there are a lot of different artistic styles that you could try and kind of branch off into. There are amazingly talented people coloring all over the world. You could follow them on social media to get some creative juices flowing. And for information, seek out teaching platforms. There are a number of great coloring courses and tutorials that will teach you the basics through some more advanced techniques and even brand new mediums. So if you're looking for something specific, YouTube or the internet could be a great resource for you to learn something new. My ultimate advice is just to keep practicing and trying new things. color test pages and sections where you're trying some of these new techniques. It might not work as you'd planned the first time or even the first 10 times, but you will learn something with each new attempt and carry it forward into your work. Our next challenge: where can I find coloring communities to share my artwork? Now, I love this question because it means that you're open to feedback and wanting to connect with other individuals that share your passion for coloring. Now, there's a number of ways that I can think of, and the first is online. There's a lot of Facebook groups in particular that kind of give you an easy forum to post your artwork and ask your coloring questions to other welcoming community members. Now, if you do prefer in-person communities, your local library or community center might even have groups that meet and color together. The rise in popularity of coloring has really opened up the possibilities for finding other supportive colorists out there. How do I find high-quality coloring books or pages? There are tons of variety and choices out there in terms of coloring books and pages, even international options. So finding subject matter that interests you may only be a Google search or an Amazon search away. Now, personally, I like coloring pages with different subject matters and styles all the time, just to kind of keep things interesting. Both bound coloring books and printable coloring pages have their benefits, but personally, I think that individual printable coloring pages are incredibly versatile, that I actually prefer them to traditionally bound books. Now, I love being able to print my coloring page onto whatever type of paper I want that kind of best suits my medium. I love being able to resize the page and create my own custom dimensions, which is great for paper crafting. And I can even use digital software to customize my page to be exactly what I'm looking for. And bound books are great, don't get me wrong, but you are limited to the pages that are in that particular book. They all probably have a relatively similar theme or style, and they all have the same format size. Plus, they're kind of one and done. So once you've colored that page, you really can't go back in and recolor it without buying that same book over again. But with printable pages, you can color the exact same image a few times if you're enjoying it, or maybe it didn't turn out quite the way that you wanted and you want to tweak it and try again. Now, I hope walking through some of these common challenges put you at ease that there are solutions that will allow you to create fantastic works of art and enhance your coloring skills. You definitely don't want to miss out on the next video in this series where even more of your questions will be answered, and Coloring Book Cafe will play a huge part in that. All right, let's recap what we covered in today's workshop. First, we outlined the many health and healing benefits of adult coloring. Now, I personally feel and reap the benefits of all of these every day. Then we answered some of your burning questions, the challenges that you guys said you face, and walked through some potential solutions for each. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's workshop, and I encourage you to keep watching this series where even more of your questions will be answered, and to learn how Coloring Book Cafe can fit into your coloring journey.